Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to attend our headquarters this morning for our press conference highlighting the results of Project DUSK. Please allow me to introduce the participants this morning. To my left is Deputy Chief of Investigations, Alvaro Almeida. He will highlight Project DUSK and the impact break-in enters have within our community. Beside him is Inspector Michael Elliott, Financial and Organized Property Crimes, and beside him is Detective Sergeant Pat Smythe of the Integrated Property Crime Task Force. He will be talking more in detail about the work of his team and the results of Project DUSK. Additionally, we are very pleased to have Natalia in attendance. Natalia is a victim of a break-and-enter who has graciously attended to share with us an impact statement. I'll now turn the microphone over to the deputy.
Morning, my name is Alvaro Almeida. I am the deputy in charge of investigations here at York Regional Police. And today we're here to share the results of Project DUSK, a significant investigation into residential break-and-enters. We want to talk about the impact of these crimes and those that are behind them. Before we get started, I wanted to acknowledge that Police Service Board member and Mayor of Newmarket, Mr. John Taylor, is here with us today. Thank you for attending our event. Residential break-and-enters are categorized as a property crime, and all too often, these are discounted as somehow being less important, less serious. But ask residents who have been the victim of these crimes how they feel about these acts. They will tell you that they feel violated, shattered, shaken. And in many cases, walking into homes that have been ransacked, windows smashed, doors kicked. Priceless, sentimental items gone. These are experiences that have long-lasting effects and an impact on these victims. The Supreme Court of Canada has affirmed that the sanctity of a home is deeply rooted in our society, recognizing that the home is a place where Canadians should be afforded the highest expectation of privacy and security. A break-in is more than a criminal act. It is a violation, a personal violation. It shatters a person's sense of safety and security and invades the very space that they should feel most protected. That's why property crimes like break-and-enters are taken very seriously here at York Regional Police. It's why we've invested in an integrated property crime team that was established almost a decade ago, and why we continue to dedicate significant resources in our efforts to combat these crimes and in investigations like Project DUSK. I'm joined here by Inspector Mike Elliott of the Financial and Organized Crime Bureau and Detective Sergeant Pat Smythe, who leads the Integrated Property Crime Task Force. He will outline the work that the team has done during this investigation, which began in mid-2024 and culminated last week. During this project, teamwork, collaboration within our community and our law enforcement partners has led to the arrest of 20 individuals and who have been charged with 235 criminal offenses. Every single one of these individuals arrived in York Region from outside the borders of Canada. And we believe their sole purpose for coming here was to commit crime for profit. These suspects work in groups to target homes in York Region and throughout the Greater Toronto Area, where they use a variety of tools and techniques to break into people's homes, taking items of both monetary and sentimental value to their owners. Jewelry, handbags, electronics, clothing, cash, among other things. Many of these items are irreplaceable. Thankfully, I'm thrilled to announce that this investigation has not only helped disrupt these criminal groups in our communities, but also has led to the return of many of those items taken from their rightful owners. So far, tens and thousands of dollars worth of valuables are now back in the rightful hands of their owners. And today, you will hear a victim impact statement from a member of the community who's bravely volunteered to share her story of how her property was stolen by those arrested and recovered by YRP. I'm tremendously proud of the work this task force continues to do and accomplish each and every year in order to keep our residents safe and secure. Successful investigations like this one should make it perfectly clear to both our community and those that are targeting our region from beyond our borders that property crimes are not a victimless crime, that we will continue to make every possible effort, use every resource available to enforce the law. And those who show up in York Region to make victims of our local residents will be identified, will be arrested, and brought before the criminal justice system. We will also continue to equip our citizens with the tools and the knowledge that they need to protect their homes from break-and-enters. In November, the York Regional Police launched a crime prevention campaign featuring 6 steps that residents can take to make their homes less of a target, less appealing to criminals. These include ongoing content from the social media channels and on our website at yrp.ca. We've also delivered postcards to members of our community, both at their homes and in community hubs. These steps are very easy, but may greatly improve the odds that a criminal may walk past your home and make it less appealing for them to break in the first place. Things like installing security cameras, leaving interior and exterior lights on timers to make it look like someone is in the residence, cutting back trees and shrubs that obscure the entrance to your home, both in the front and back when possible. Close, lock, and secure all your windows and doors. Store valuables somewhere that it's unexpected. And something that I've said before when we're talking about auto theft or any sort of crime, get to know your neighbors. Communities that stick together are much safer when you know who's coming and going within your own community, and you're that much better, or you have a much better chance of being able to detect when suspicious behavior is ongoing in your community. And lastly, register on our YRP security camera registry. I can tell you that in the case of Project DUSK, investigators relied on the resourcefulness of our local residents. And home security footage was very valuable for us, both from the homes of the victims and those of their neighbors, who helped us successfully identify those and bring them before justice. I will now turn the podium back to Constable Nabria, who will introduce our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. I will now turn the microphone over to Detective Sergeant Pat Smythe.
Good morning. Thank you for coming today. As stated, my name is Detective Sergeant Pat Smythe. I'm in charge of our Integrated Property Crime Task Force. Project DUSK this is the second year we've run it. This is Project DUSK 24. It was developed to combat a significant rise in break-and-enters that occurs every year during the daylight savings time in the fall. York Region and the GTA experience the cyclical increase due to a direct linkage to crime tourism. Latin American theft groups and Eastern European theft groups enter Canada shortly after the daylight savings ends in the fall and return home to their countries in the spring after they've committed crime. Project DUSK was a collaboration of efforts between the Integrated Property Crime Task Force and all the district criminal investigation bureaus and support of all the districts within York Regional Police, as well as the Canada Border Services Agency. The theft groups that I'm speaking of generally target residential homes between 6 and 10 p.m. Because residents have they've generally come home from work or they've returned home and left for groceries, family sports, going to the gym, or going out for dinner. They wait until the residents are no longer at home. As Deputy Almeida stated, 20 individuals have been arrested and a warrant in the first has been put out for a 21st individual. There were a total of 6 separate crime groups that were disrupted and dismantled during this project. These offenses that the Integrated Property Crime Task Force are investigating, they are truly a whodunit style of investigation that the men and women of Project DUSK really excel at investigating. They take the time to develop this investigation because every group has its own identity that they investigate. And every investigation starts literally from scratch, and it starts with the assistance, obviously, of our residents within the region. And it starts with limited information. These groups generally gain entry by either breaching the front or rear doors. They waste little time in the residence, and they're in and out within a couple of minutes. The thieves generally look to steal items that they can liquidate quickly, such as cash, small electronics, purses, jewelry, and passports. As you can see on the table below to my left, you'll see basically like a standard entry kit with pry bars. You have window punches. You've got some rope flashlights. What's a little different for some of these groups, they were using signal jammers. Signal jammers are generally used to defeat wireless cameras, it defeats radios, it defeats cell phones, it dampens that area. So a lot of the cameras that are set up by residents, it'll defeat that. So within Canada, we're not allowed to have those jammers. Also, there's a signal detector as well, so as these suspects are targeting some of the residences, they're identifying which ones might have the potential of having wireless surveillance equipment within their house, and they will move on to the next one. Also on the table is a firearm, which was seized from the residence of one of the suspects. It's not common that we see this style of crime with a firearm. This particular one was not actually carried by the suspects. It was located in a residence after the fact. For the members of the Integrated Property Crime Task Force, very infrequently do we see firearms in this type of offense. These criminals, as a general rule, are not looking for confrontation. They're skilled, they conduct surveillance prior to committing entries in order to ensure the victims are not home. So they'll wait and they'll watch. If they are discovered, they run away. They're here purely for profit. And that's basically all I'm going to give at this point. Kevin, can I turn that back over to you for the next speaker? Thank you.
Thank you, Detective Sergeant Smythe. I would now like to call to the stage Natalia, who will be providing an impact statement.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I'm writing the statement on behalf of my mom and myself to express our deep pain and devastation we have suffered due to the break and enter that took place in our home. This is not just about stolen belongings. It is about the destruction of our sense of safety, our peace of mind, and the precious memories of my dad that will never be replaced. My mom is a widow. She has worked incredibly hard to provide a safe and loving home for me and my sister. She is the strongest person I know, raising a 9-month-old and a 4-year-old while grieving the sudden loss of my dad. I cannot imagine the weight of that responsibility, yet she did it with so much strength. To now see her go through this, to watch her relive that pain all over again is unbearable. I was at work when I received a broken message from my mom saying we had been broken into. She had left for exactly 1 hour to get her tires changed. 1 hour, that's all it took. We're almost always home. I work from home most of the days. And when my mom is working, I'm usually home. It took that rare time she left, and this happened. When she returned, the doors were left wide open, and at first she thought it was odd, but when she stepped inside and saw that the house was completely destroyed, she had realized what had just happened. We have several cameras, different cameras, but not a single one happened to work during that specific hour. I was panicking. I was at work. I had worked so hard to secure a job after graduating, and I had just started this position the week before. Suddenly, I found myself in a position where I had to explain to my coworkers, which are amazing people, who would never expect to hear something like this at work, what had just happened to me. I used our indoor camera to listen in, trying to make sure my mom was okay because she had stopped talking to me. I rushed home as fast as I could, and the moment I walked through that door, I knew nothing would ever be the same. Our house was torn apart. Every single drawer emptied, every piece of furniture overturned, every inch of our home violated. I could tell my mom was in shock. She wanted to cry, but being the rock she is, she tried so hard to stay strong for me and my sister. Then came the hardest part, figuring out what was taken. No one truly understands this part. You don't just make a list and move on. You stare at what's left, trying to piece together what's missing, while your heart races. My mom knew exactly what she had feared losing most. Her engagement ring, the wedding bands, engraved with my mom and my dad's names and their wedding date. She couldn't even look in her own room. She still can't. She threw out all of her furniture because of the thought of strangers rifling through her things was just too much to bear. Her dressers and nightstands were broken. Every single piece of clothing ripped from her room. She donated every single last item because she was disgusted knowing that someone else had touched them. She hasn't slept in her room since. She sleeps in my room. And when I say she sleeps, she barely does. For weeks, she waited for me to fall asleep before going downstairs to pace back and forth, thinking where she went wrong. She couldn't even sleep for longer than 5 minutes. She even went to the eye doctor for her checkup, and they turned her away instantly. They said her eyes are too dry, and they had knew she'd been crying and lacking a lot of sleep. Neither of us ate for days. I was running on pure adrenaline, fueled only by the unbearable pain of knowing that not only my dad is gone, but now every single last piece of it was stolen from us. Even though the police worked so hard on our case, following every lead and even going door to door, I felt I couldn't just sit around and watch my mom break down. I needed to do something, so I also went door to door, begging our neighbors for camera footage. I stayed up all night watching the same clips over and over again, then waking up the next day and knocking on doors again. For me, it wasn't just about gathering evidence. It was the only thing keeping myself busy and sane. The days all blended together. We didn't feel safe in our own home anymore. If this was just about stolen electronics, it would be very different, but it's not. It's about stolen memories. My mom's engagement ring, their wedding bands, my dad's belongings, every last memory we had of him, everything he gifted my mom. No amount of money could ever replace those things. They were reminders of love, of family, of a man who can never be replaced. And now they're gone forever. We just want our stuff back. And we continue saying it. I'm grateful that nothing happened to my dog, who was home at the time. He barked nonstop for 45 minutes, terrified. I'm grateful that my dad must have been looking over my mom because she was about to pull into the driveway while they were still inside our house. But at the last second, she decided to pass her house and go to the gas station. When I found out that a weapon was later recovered, I felt sick. Knowing that there was a chance that I could have lost the only parent that I have left. There are no words for that feeling. Every night, I lie awake asking myself, why us? Why our home? My mom still blames herself for leaving the house that day, for potentially not locking the gate. But the truth is, nothing would have stopped these people. They were determined to invade our house, and they did. We're not the same people we were before. We're constantly on edge. I still can't go in our basement. I hear noise outside and immediately have a panic attack. When I work from home, I have to get up and check every sound, bracing myself to defend our home. I want these feelings to go away. I want to feel safe again. But I don't know if we ever will. People keep telling us it will get better. But no one actually understands what we're going through. No one understands what those stolen belongings meant to us. Losing my dad was already unbearable, but this feels like mourning him all over again. I was only 9 months old when he passed away. The only connection I had to my dad was through the belongings he left behind. And now, because of this heartless act, all those pieces are gone. Our home is no longer a safe place. It is a constant reminder of our loss. My dog, once my source of comfort, is now just as unsettled as we are. I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. This is not just about what was stolen. It is about what was taken from us emotionally. Our security, our comfort, our peace of mind. And for what? So someone else can make quick profit off of the things that were priceless to us. You see it on the news daily, but you never think it will ever happen to you until it does. Now, my community no longer feels safe. The place I once called home feels violated and exposed. If this could happen to my family, it could happen to anyone, and the realization of this is terrifying. I can only hope that justice is served and that no one else has to endure the pain my family has gone through, because no one should ever have to feel this way. No one should ever have to lose what we have lost. And yet, here we are. I just want to say thank you to everyone who works for the YRP for keeping our streets as safe as possible. I'm very grateful for those who work specifically on our case, who were able to recover a ring that meant a lot to us, and just the way it made us feel, knowing that we were able to gain this back, meant the absolute world. I know this is hard work, and my family is so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you.
That concludes our presentation of Project DUSK.